Go for it.
We're recording now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in a theater review about how my friends and I were horrible human beings in New York, I performed this monologue. This one is not from my life. This is from a man named Tucker Max. And the monologue is entitled, Tucker Max Tries Butt Sex. Hilarity Does Not Ensue. I spent the summer between my second and third year of college suckling on the parental teat in South Florida. It was the absolute prime of my do-anything-to-get-laid phase. I was recently freed from a 4-year-long distance relationship that began in high school, and I wanted nothing more than to have sex with as many women as possible. Most of the things I did that summer are not story-worthy. You can only tell the same I got drunk on Dom and fucked this hottie story so many times before it gets annoying. That summer I experienced every random sex situation that a 20-year-old can imagine. Fucking on the beach, getting head from random girls in club bathrooms, sleeping with 3 different girls in a day, getting so drunk I passed out during sex, getting arrested for receiving fellatio in the pool at the Delano, blah, blah, blah. Jesus, what does it say about me that I don't even consider these stories extraordinary anymore? Anyway, while most of my stories may not be extraordinary for me, there is one very notable exception. I was seeing one girl. Let's call her Jamie. About twice a week. She was a fresh arrival to South Beach, having moved there 5 months ago from upstate New York as a 19-year-old with a modeling contract. We met through a mutual friend who befriended her while they were shooting a TV commercial. 5 weeks and lots of sex later, she thought we were dating. I knew better, but she was way too hot for me to bother correcting her assumption. The ex-girlfriend of 4 years I previously spoke about was very sexually conservative. It was missionary in the dark and then straight to sleep, with maybe a blowjob on the weekends if she'd had a few glasses of wine with dinner. It was a high school relationship. I didn't know any better. After 4 years of this, I was ready to experience all of the things I'd missed out on, when I wasn't cheating on her, of course. Butt sex, known in the biz as anal, was one of these unknowns, and I decided that I wanted to try it. Jamie was the perfect partner. Very hot, very sweet, and more importantly, very, very, very naive, and very, very, very open to suggestion. She was reluctant at first, not understanding why we just couldn't keep having normal sex, so I had to employ my persuasive powers. Jamie, but I've never done it. Tucker, I've never done it either. It can be our thing. Jamie, but I don't know if I like it. Me, you won't have to worry about getting pregnant. Jamie, but I like normal sex. Me, everyone's doing anal. It's the new black. Jamie, but I don't know. It seems weird. Me, it's the preferred method in Europe, especially with runway models. Don't you want to do runways in Europe? After a few weeks of this, she finally consented. Though she agreed to let me put my penis in her small hole, she extracted a promise in return.
Excuse me.
Okay, we can try anal sex, but I want it to be special and romantic. Pause. Okay, moving on. You have to take me out to a nice place, like the Forge or Tantra, not one of your parents' restaurants, and it has to be a weekend night, not a Monday night. And you have to keep on taking me out on weekends. I'm tired of being your Monday night girl. I made reservations for the next Friday at Tantra. Aside from being insanely expensive, Tantra is famous for having grass floors. Really, they put in new sod every week. They also advertise their food as aphrodisiac cuisine. Yes, at this point in my life, I thought these things actually worked. Thanks to my father's connections, I got us a corner booth in the grass room. She was really impressed. I ordered like it was the Last Supper. No expense was spared. 2 $110 bottles of Merlot, veal rack, stone crabs, the Tantra love platter. It was lavish and decadent. I was 21, stupid, and wanted to fuck Jamie in the butt. I wasn't about to let a $400 tab get in my way. By the time we left Tantra, this girl had doe eyes that made Bambi look like a heroin chic CK model. She could not have been more in love with me. The entire drive back to my place, she was rubbing my crotch, telling me how badly she wanted me to fuck her, how hot I made her, etc., etc., etc. We get back to my place, and our clothes are off before we even get in the door. We collapse on the bed and start fucking. Normal, vaginal sex at first, just like always. Now, what she did not know, and what I have not told you yet, was that I had a surprise waiting for her. Before I tell you what the surprise is, let me make this clear. As I stand right now, 26, I am a bad person. At 21, I was possibly the worst person in existence. I had no regard for the feelings of others. I was narcissistic and self-absorbed to the point of psychotic delusion, and I saw other people only as a means to my happiness and not as human beings worthy of respect and consideration. I have no excuse for what I did. It was wrong and I regret it. Even though I normally revel in my outlandish behavior, sometimes even I cross the line. And this is one of those situations. But I'm still going to tell you about it. This was going to be my first time foraging in the ass forest, and I wanted to have a reminder of my trip. A memento I could carry with me for the rest of my life. So I decided to film us. I planned this beforehand, but I was afraid she would decline, so instead of being mature and discussing this with Jamie, I just made the executive decision to get it on camera. Without telling her. That alone is pretty bad. But instead of setting up a hidden camera, I got my friend to hide in the closet and film it. No. Really? I know that I'm gonna burn in hell. At this point, I'm just hoping that my life can serve as a warning to others. I left my door unlocked, and we arranged so that around midnight, my friend would go over to my place and wait until my car pulled in, and then run into the closet and get the camera ready. The top half of the closet door was a French shutter, so it was easy to move the slats and give him a decent camera shot through the closed door. By the time Jamie and I got to the bed, I was so drunk I had forgotten that he was filming this. And, of course, she had no idea he was there. After a few minutes of standard sex, she kind of stopped and said, all serious and in her best seductive soap opera voice, "I'm ready." I quickly flipped her over and grabbed the brand new bottle of Astroglide I had on my bedside table. A week prior, after Jamie had consented to butt sex, I realized that I had no earthly idea how to do it. How exactly do you fuck a girl in the ass? Luckily, I had the world's best anal sex informational resource at my disposal. The gay waiter. I consulted several gay waiters who worked at one of my parents' restaurants about the mechanics of butt sex, and each one recommended Astroglide as the lubricant of choice. Much to my dismay, I learned that spitting on your dick is not enough lube for butt sex. Stupid, lying porn movies. The other important piece of advice I remembered was from Calvin. Make sure you use enough, because if this is her first time, she'll be especially tight, and it might hurt her. Use enough to really loosen her up and go slow until she gets used to it. Then, it's smooth sailing from there. Well, since some is good, more is better, right? Oh. At 21, this seemed logical. I opened the cap, crammed the bottle top into her asshole, and squeezed. I probably emptied half of the 4 ounces of Astroglide into her. I have since learned from homosexuals that a 4-ounce bottle usually lasts them about 6 months. So, yeah, I overdid it. But I wasn't done. Oh no. After depositing enough grease into... Jabelson needs to stop laughing, or otherwise I'm never gonna make it through this.
I feel so uncomfortable.
Okay.
I just keep thinking 50 Shades of State of Decay.
Oh. So, after depositing enough grease in her to run a Formula One race car,
Okay.
I dumped half of what remained onto my cock and balls.
Wait, so you used the whole fucking bottle?
3/4, really wanting to lube up because I didn't want her to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Now, consider my thought process.
Okay.
I was going to fuck Jamie in the butt and film it without her consent, yet I was truly concerned about her personal comfort.
So as a recap.
So, the contradictions in my personality even amuse me sometimes. Predictably, I slid in with ease. She was a little tense at first, but with an Exxon Valdez-sized load spilled into her poop chute, she quickly loosened up and got into it. I liked it also. It had a different feel to it.
Yeah.
Not as good as vaginal sex. A little grainy. Kinda tight. But still nice. Before I knew it, I was fucking her like the apocalypse was imminent, burying it to the hilt with impunity. After a few minutes, I was ready to come. My urgency was expressed in my tempo, and I began really jackhammering her. As the excitement got the best of me, I pulled out too far, and my dick came out of her ass. I kind of scrambled to grab my dick and put it back into her so I could finish inside of her. But before I could even get a hold of myself and put myself back in her ass, I heard a faint sound and felt something wet and warm
I'm eating.
hit my crotch. Ugh. No.
I can't do this. I can't listen to it anymore.
It was dark in the room.
This hamburger is never gonna get eaten.
I was not smart or sober enough to leave the lights on for the camera.
Are you sure this wasn't you?
So,
Sounds like something you would do.
after I looked down, it took me a few seconds to realize that my dick, balls, and groin area were covered in a viscous black liquid.
Okay. Well, that was fun. I'll be back. God damn it.
I stopped moving and stared strangely at my strangely colored crotch for a good 5 seconds, completely confused until I realized what had just happened.
She shit on you.
Did you just shit on my dick?
Called it.
I reached down to touch the liquid feces, still in complete and utter disbelief that this girl shot explosive exorcist-style diarrhea on my penis when, without warning, the smell hit me.
I am so sorry to all of our viewers. I did not know this was where this was going.
Now, I have a rather sensitive nose, and I have never been more repulsed by a smell in my life. The combination of synthetic Astroglide and rancid stench of raw fecal matter combined to turn my stomach, which was full of seafood, veal, and wine, completely over. I tried to hold it back. I really did everything I could to stop myself, but there are certain physical reactions that are beyond conscious control. Before I knew what I was doing, it just came out.
That was gross.
I vomited all over her ass, into her crack, into her asshole, on her ass cheeks, on the small of her back, everywhere.
Why?
She turned her head and said, "Tucker, what are you doing?" Saw me vomiting on her and screamed, "Oh my God," and immediately joined me. Watching her throw up on my bed made me vomit even more. Her vomiting all over my bed, me vomiting on her ass, the next step was almost inevitable. I heard the loud crash first, turned to see my friend break through the shutters and rip the closet door off as he, the video camera, and the door tumbled out of the closet and crashed onto the floor next to us. The memory of that 2-second span where all three of us were vomiting at once is permanently seared into my brain. I have never heard anything like that symphony of sickness. It was like something out of the old Pink Panther movies. I think the crowning moment was when my eyes locked with Jamie's. I saw her moment of realization and then her quick shift from shock and surprise to complete and irreparable anger. Between bouts of hurling, she flipped out. "Oh my God. You filmed this, you ass. You could, how could you? I thought you loved me. Oh my God. I let you fuck me.
If you take a look at the left-hand corner of the screen, there's birds flying around, and they're gonna die from this story.
She tried to stand up, slipped on the huge puddle of backflow Astroglide on the bed, and fell into both my pile and her pile of vomit, covering her body and hair in vomit, shit, and anal lubricant. She flailed on the bed for a second, grabbed the top sheet, wrapped it around her, and started running out of my place, still naked and retching. My dick covered in shit and oil. I followed her as far as my front door. The last contact I ever had with her is the image I witnessed of her in a dead sprint. A shit, vomit, and grease-stained sheet stuck to her body, running from my apartment. The camera we used was one of those old fragile ones that filmed onto a VHS tape, and when he crashed out of the closet, the tape recorder and tape broke. It didn't occur to us that the tape records its images magnetically, and we could take the actual tape itself and get someone to put it into another holster until we had thrown it out. I know it seems stupid now, and believe me, I kick myself about it every day, but you should have seen the apartment afterwards. The tape was not a high priority. Astroglide, shit, and vomit covered everything. I had to rent one of those steam cleaners, buy a new mattress, and I still lost my deposit. It was impossible to get the smell out. The next month was like living in a sewer. Every girl I brought back to my place after that refused to stay there, and some refused to sleep with me anywhere because of how my place smelled. What I never found out, and I still want to know, is how the girl got home. I never heard from her again, and the mutual friend who introduced us called her but didn't get her calls returned. I never heard anything about her or from her again, even though she left her clothes and ID at my place. She wore a tight dress out that night and didn't bring a purse or any money with her. Can you picture that scene? What did she do? Hop in a taxi? Wave down a passing car? Get on the bus? She lived at least 30 miles away. There's no way she walked home. It perplexes me to this day. I'm hoping that she hears this. Maybe then I'll find out how she got home.
Well, that's 12 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. And also a hamburger that's never going to get eaten. So fuck you.